Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks ever so much for giving up your Monday afternoon to come here into Worcestershire and join us today. My name's Steph Simcox. I'm Head of Service of Finance and Resources within Children's Services and the project lead for the HR Finance business proposal that you've been reading about and understanding from our documentation. I'm surrounded today by my colleagues and a Cabinet member, and they'll all introduce themselves when it's their turn. The session today is being podcast. It is being recorded so that we can put the slides and the presentation on our supplier portal for those suppliers who haven't been able to make it today. But I just will say to you that it won't be recording you unless you actually ask a question. So for those of you who do ask a question, you need to be minded that you are being recorded. And that's not to put you off asking questions at all, but we do have to let you know that you are being recorded by our normal legislation requirements, otherwise I shall get told off. So without further ado, I'd like to pass on to our Cabinet member, who is, the panel members are there and they'll introduce themselves. So we're going to talk through that agenda. I'm not going to go through it in graphic detail. Each of the presenters this afternoon will go through their own item. And hopefully we'll have sufficient time later on this afternoon for any questions you might have. So I'm going to pass on now to John Campion, who's our Cabinet Member for Transformation, to do the opening address. So thank you.
Thank you, Steph. We probably could have gone to a smaller room, but we wouldn't have had the ability to record it, hence why we are in here. My name's John Campion. I'm the Cabinet Member for Transformation and Commissioning. Why am I here? Why is our elected member dragged here on a cold Monday afternoon to talk to you lot? Well, first of all, it's a sign that we are very serious about this particular piece of work and our commissioning agenda across the authority. This is a political journey that we've signed up to as members to become that excellent commissioning authority. We are serious about making this happen. This isn't something that is fly by night. There is true commitment behind it. There is a true belief that it is our right course of action, and it's very much the alternative to we see as direct cuts. Working with you guys to help deliver our agenda whilst also helping us deliver our savings. And ultimately, as those of you that worked with members before will know, we want to see a better service at a cheaper cost all of the time, and I'm reliably informed by my officers and advisors you guys are the ones to deliver it for us. There's a few smiles. There's no shaking of head yet, so that's a good sign. In Worcestershire, this will probably be one of our bigger projects that we've had a go at. It's right at the very centre of our organisation. I'm a big believer in the frontline services need to be able to get on with what they're good at. The children's services, the social care, the adult social care, whether or not it be our roads maintenance teams, which are also commissioned out, need to be able to get on with it. And this particular piece of work is about supporting them to do that. IT, finance, HR should all be seamless parts of the operation that they should never really see or indeed worry about. It is something that just happens in the background. So for us in Worcestershire, trusting that central B with the bureaucracy, the small b bureaucracy, trusting outside is a really big step for us to take. And one of the reasons we're keen to do that is the innovation that the market can bring. Obviously, the savings treasure are a massive part of that they're going to deliver us for, but also the innovation that has happened elsewhere, and we can bring it to Worcestershire to deliver for us. And that's another important part that we want to see through this project. The other part as to why I'm here today is about Worcestershire is a great place to do business. Through the commissioning projects that we've done already, we've seen people very keen to come and set up outposts here in Worcestershire. We're a good quality organisation with a good quality base and a good quality set of customers. It is your opportunity to come and build on that. And we've already seen some commissioning projects started where people have recognised that. We believe you can grow your business from our county. We believe we've got the right support here to help you do that. And please do make the best of our Econ Regen team who are here to help. Not only do you want to flog us something, actually we also want to support you and grow your business to help support our local economy here. This project is complicated. There are lots of facets. We want lots out of it. But ultimately, I think this is a great project for this council. And the reason why I'm here, and indeed investing my personal time and commitment to it, is because if we get this right, this really is going to change the way this council operates and indeed deliver those important saving targets that we have got to give. Please do take part today. There's no such thing as a silly question. Don't be put off by the webcasting. We can't edit out the daft questions, unfortunately, but it is, I think, the quality of this type of process only comes from the effort that those are willing to put into it. You're seeing from our side, we're willing to put the effort in. We need the effort from you guys as we go through. You're going to hear next from the leader of the County Council. He can't be here today, but we very much have that political buy-in through that. And we're going to run now into the film, he says, teeing it up. And I look forward to hearing more from you later when we take questions at the end.
We made great strides in changing the way we work and in our vision over the past 3 years. We're determined to become an excellent strategic commissioning authority. We have to move away in Worcestershire, and we were always very keen to embrace this vision in the past, that services were better if we directly provided them. We don't think that's the case, and we need to look much wider across the country and across the county on how we deliver service. So we've made great strides in producing different service models of delivery to not only save money, but also to, most importantly, improve the service offer to our customers. And you'll see this at work in the way that, we operate our roads maintenance, by the way that our library service is now being run, the changes that we're making in adult social care. So this is an exciting time for Worcestershire, because we're really redefining how local government operates on a county basis.
Hi all, my name is Sean Pearce. I'm the Chief Finance Officer here at the County Council. And I'm here in two roles really. So first of all, a number of the services that are included within the package of services that you're seeing today are my services. The second is, once this partnership goes live, I will be your customer, the Senior Responsible Officer for the contract once we go into project service delivery. So that's the two roles that I play. What I wanted to do was take you through two or three just very brief slides around how this fits in with the overall commissioning strategy around some of our support services, what's included in the package and what I'm hoping to see from successful bidder as those bids come forward once we issue the ITT. So in terms of how it fits in, as you can see, we're looking at commissioning a number of our services, and by commissioning it's really testing have we got the right provider at the right cost, delivering the services in the right way. You can see on here that a number of those that are in black actually were either commissioned already, we're in the commissioning process, or they will be commissioned after this package of services. But for us, the services in this package relate to the accounts payable and the accounts receivable function, the payroll and HR transactional functions, and the technology platform on which all of our HR and finance processes take place, which currently is SAP. What we do want to ensure, though, is where those do have connections with some of those other services that we are looking to commission, that there are linkages being made. So that will be key for me as part of the responses coming in, just about how this remains an open and transparent part of our business, so it can continue to interrelate with those other services. In terms of what the services are then, so there's a number of customer groups in here, but for all customer groups we're looking to seek a potential supplier of service for transactional finance and HR services. Certainly that HR service is an end-to-end service. In terms of finance, there will be a cut-off at a point in terms of the purchase-to-pay cycle, where we are looking to retain part of that purchase-to-pay cycle, at least initially, in-house. And that will all become clear as you start to see the ITT when that comes out later, as planned. Just for us as a customer, we are looking at the technology platform for us. So that's the second bullet point. And as I say, that's an SAP product, which we implemented firstly for finance back in the early 2000s, and then in 2007 for HR. So it's an integrated HR and finance package. In terms of what I'm looking for, and I think what we're looking for, absolutely this first point around innovation. For me, this is about a positive move to ensure not only are we able to focus internally on providing strategic advice to the organisation to help the organisation achieve its goals and objectives, but we're able to secure a partner who can invest into these services in the future, a partner who is a better placed and expert at delivering these services than we are, a partner that's got a track record and really can demonstrate to us that there's an investment that can be delivered across these services in future to keep them in a fit state for what we require, but also leading edge. And that's something that isn't our core business. Our core business is delivering those frontline services to residents and service users. So we're looking for someone who's better placed than us to take these services forward. And I think that relates into the second point around mature delivery, service deliverer. Someone who can demonstrate this, not that just there's a whole good plan for the future, but this is being undertaken across your existing client groups. We will be changing as an organisation into the future. So we will be reducing in size. We'll be moving from an organisation that delivers a smaller number of services ourselves and therefore has finance and HR systems to support people to finance and HR systems that primarily support commission services. And in that, we'll be looking to work with a potential partner around how we change that technology platform, some of our processes and systems to ensure that it supports a different organisation in the future. And all of that kind of information about how the organisation is changing is either available in the data room at the moment or will be in support of the ITT. But this is about the long term. This isn't about achieving a year one saving and then thinking afterwards what the rest of the contract delivers. We're looking to agree a partnership with yourselves that covers an extended period of time to give you that ability to invest with some confidence as we start to change the basis on which the services are provided and the transactional processes. The last point for me, and really one that's around my second role, which is to be the main client representative, I think, once this service goes live, is around that sense of partnership. You as a provider and us as a customer have seen a variety of good, bad and different contracts working and partnerships and services. What I'm looking for is an opportunity to work and create something more in the future, not just about what's agreed on day one. So what you will see in the ITT and what you've seen in the ODU is an opportunity, I think, for this scope to extend based on a business case basis if it makes sense for us and for you. So that's something I'd like to see coming through quite strongly about how we can continue to develop in the future. So that's it from me, but keen that I stay around and we can have a discussion about things after the formal presentation or any questions that you've got.
Thank you. It's a bit like the Olympics with passing the baton across, isn't it, to be honest? Okay, me again. Just going to give you a little bit more detail about the scope that Sean alluded to earlier on. The services that we're looking at are highlighted in red on the screen, and these are being looked at as part of this programme. So the support services relevant to HR, finance, IT, internal audit, that are all embedded within the delivery of the back office services for the council as shown on here. We're looking initially at a provider to help us to transform those areas highlighted in red. The three areas underneath, the green ones, are the areas where we are keeping those strategically within the local authority. So these are the things that John mentioned that go on in the background quietly, and people shouldn't see these happening, but they're just happening at the centre within the local authority, the strategic core. And internal audit, which is another area within Sean's portfolio, is subject to a separate procurement process that will be going on shortly. All the areas that we talked about in the green elements that we will want to be working with the successful provider post-contract start on how we as a local authority can drive through efficiencies in these areas and potentially subject to additional business cases where we can both drive through efficiencies on a win-win basis by using the new technologies and systems and delivery processes that you've already got within your organisations and which we're going to benefit from in the red areas can potentially help us to drive out further efficiencies within the green areas. So there's some areas within there like transactional accountancy, the normal journals, environments, dealing with the general ledger that some of our management accountants do. They're not currently in scope of this programme, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be in scope of change, whether that's us as a local authority delivering that change or us working with you on a business case basis during the first 1, 2, 3 years of this programme to actually help us both to drive out some efficiencies from your technical abilities and know-how and our excellent services that we've got at the moment. So the red services are what are in scope from day one. The green services in there are what we're going to be asking you to work with us on delivering some added benefits going forward. And these are not exclusive, the green bits. These are the things that we know as a finance and HR services that the Cabinet have made a conscious decision to keep central because of the strategy and the strategic elements of them that we need to make sure that those are kept close to the heart of the council. But it doesn't mean we can't drive through efficiencies and change and benefits from that. So we are at the moment providing as a local authority services not only to ourselves as the local authority but also to a number of other customers, in excess of 200 customers at the moment. Majority of those being our maintained schools. We've also got a significant number of academies that still buy back from our services, a number of other public sector organisations including the police and the Police and Crime Commissioner, and also some higher education and further education colleges. So we as a local authority are wanting the providers to help us to deliver a service back to those schools going forward and the other partners. We're also making the ITT wide enough for other local authorities to join into the OJU process so they themselves can avoid the costs and implications of their own procurement process. So we were a little bit unsure at the start whether to have a really wide OJU notice or a really narrow one. We didn't want to make it too wide so the business looked massive, but we didn't want to make it too narrow so it didn't bring some of our other potential customers on board, like other upper tier councils that go around us. So to enable us to have a legitimate OJU that was finite enough for you to know how much you were bidding for, we've amended the OJU notice to actually show that we can bring other partners on board with us if we wish to, or if indeed they wish to. So the scope by customers at the moment is shown on that screen. So obviously there's a number of services that we provide to ourselves and to others, for example payroll. The services that we only provide to schools, which is schools finance and HR, schools HR. For occupational services and all the transactional services you see on there, we provide to ourselves and to our partners. Thanks. And some of the metrics, which again you'll see in our data room, for those of you who have seen it, just gives you an idea of the metrics involved, the services that we currently provide at the moment, and these are annual values. So we have on average each year just over 300,000 pay slips. So it's quite a sizable business really that we're putting forward to market at the moment. The pay slips themselves in itself is a massive business. So those gives you some scope and scale of the operation that we are taking to market at the moment. And that's excluding any other partners that wish to come and join us on this journey. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. So my name's Peter Bishop. So I'm head of technology, systems and customer access, which is a long way of saying that I'm responsible for all the technology that the council deploys and all of our principles of customer access. And a lot of those principles you will have seen if you've read the digital strategy, which of course you have, because you're really excited by the opportunity that the digital strategy presents. I certainly am. And a lot of those principles and the kind of transformation that we that technology can provide for the council a very important part of this transaction. And in the slides that I will talk about in terms of transition and transformation, you'll see quite a lot around technology. But let me be absolutely clear. This is not about technology. This is about the transformation of the council's operating model and for schools and all those other customers enabled by technology. So let's be very clear. This is a business-led piece of work. We're certainly looking for an organisation who can help us drive that change. And what you will see, and what you've probably already picked up, is that in some respects you should forget about the commissioning of the transactional services, because of the type of work that we do and the type of work that we're going to ask you to do is actually nothing to do with those transactional services, and I'll bring that to life in a minute. Are you on the transition slide already? Thank you. Jumping ahead. Okay, so let's talk about transition. We're very flexible about how this transition will work. What I mean by that is between the sort of due diligence, contract finalisation, service commencement date, and how you stand up your new operating model. Clearly, there are customers that expect services to be delivered, and a lot of data that needs to be looked after, particularly things like payroll data and all that sort of stuff. We've all heard the headlines about losing 10,000 payslips or dropping a laptop. Very open about how SLAs will come into force between effectively service commencement dates. So we're a lot more flexible than we need to. Clearly, there is a staff transfer process to manage. We're testing that in the PQQ. We'll continue to test that through the ITT in terms of how that is done. There is an expectation that there will be a 2P process, and that will need to be managed and managed effectively. But we're also aware that your potential operating models may be different, and that may require change. So we're very sensitive to how that is done, and clearly we'll be looking to you to manage that in an effective manner. And communication and change management, you'll know, is very key to that transition. You've got to remember that if you don't already, the County Council is going through quite a radical reorganisation of how it does its business to become a strategic commissioner. And for a lot of our people, they are totally unused to the kind of dynamic that creates. So really how we manage that is going to be an important part of the transition, and something that we would look to you to really help drive and manage as we go. We can move on to the next slide. I said right at the beginning about in scope, what's out of scope. And if you remember the complex slide that Steph showed you about all the customers and the services, in some respects, what that doesn't show you of all the other processes that we're going to expect you to help change. So if we think about general ledger, we're looking, the SAP platform supports general ledger. We know that may be revised because we want you to use different technology to do that. But those are processes that we manage, not what you manage. But in terms of the implementation, you're going to be playing a big part in that transformation. We know our processes require quite a lot of work. Some of them have spent probably 15 years developing them. We know that there are a lot of best practice out there that we can leverage. We're looking for a very standardised way of doing things. And our challenge and your challenge will be actually controlling how much configuration. I've lost my thread now, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. Our SAP landscape and all the associated interfaces and systems is in scope of this procurement. Okay. Now, that means that there are some processes that you will directly manage, but there are also processes that we will run that we would expect you to assist with all of the change around those processes. And I illustrate that with things like general ledger, which is sort of out of scope, but payroll is clearly in scope. And that's where we link back to the digital strategy. So it's important that you think about the technology as it enables all these business processes rather than the other way around. Next slide, please. Clearly, we're looking for a much more flexible more consumer or utility-based approach to all of this. We're looking for someone to bring with them the experience of that transition and transformation to actually enable us to do that. You won't be just working with schools necessarily, you'll be working with many parts of the council achieving that activity. As both John and Sean said, there is opportunity for further change through business cases, and we absolutely are looking to drive as much efficiency and effectiveness over the term of the contract. And clearly that will be part of the kind of sort of key performance indicators and the sort of health of the partnership that we're looking for. Next slide. In terms of the technology, it's got a complex landscape at the moment. We're very agnostic about what that landscape will look in the future. Either for the services that the council will consume and need to run its business, like, for example, the general ledger and payroll, but we're also agnostic about what technology is used to deliver those other customers or academies. They're not necessarily the same. We have taken the advantage to manage it on a single platform, but we're not prescriptive about how that will work over time. If your proposition does require a change in the technology that we use, there's an expectation to manage that, manage the transition, manage the current environment, and then managing the future environment, and then linking back to that flexible utility-type models to how we consume those services. Some licensing models are very, very complex and they're very restrictive, and as we change, we need flexibility going forward. So that's a sort of key area for you to consider. That's it from me. So any questions? I'm sure there'll be plenty on the technology. Happy to answer them at the end.
Thank you, Peter. My name is Joe Stock and I'm the Commercial Commissioning Manager, so I'm the Commercial and Procurement Lead on this project. I suppose this is the graveyard shift, so nobody fall asleep, but I like to think of it as a headline act, or saving the best till last. So if we just look at the commercial considerations of this project, we've gone for a 7-year contract with options to extend for a further 3 years. Those options to extend will be based on KPI performance, so it will be within your control to extend the contract up to a maximum of 10 years, dependent upon your performance. We've stated that the top line revenue of this scope is up to 4 million per annum. And again, picking up on points earlier, this is dependent upon what other future services are brought into scope, and also how you grow the contract with potentially other customers utilising the contract as well. We will assess your bid's ITT stage based on whole life costing. So that will be whole life costing over the duration of the 7 years. And to assist you with this, at ITT stage, we'll give you a number of assumptions to use so that we can ensure that all bids are based on the same foundations. And those assumptions will pick up at points like 2P, pensions, redundancy, transition, third-party contracts that you may want to bring into scope, training, etc., to make sure that the financial submissions that we get are truly whole life cost and take into account the entire cost of the council. And again, just picking up on Peter's point, and it's already been mentioned before, but we do want to build in flexibility into this contract, and how you enable flexibility into your financial model is up to you to determine. So Peter mentioned flexibility per transaction, but we're open to other models that you may wish to use, and the benefits and advantages of those will be assessed as well as part of this process. And our final commercial approach will obviously be communicated at ITT stage, but there is another Supplier Open Day scheduled in at ITT stage with those parties that are invited through to tender, so you will get a further opportunity for us to explain how we will go about assessing that in more further detail at that stage. And I know this has been mentioned before by Sean, but we do want to emphasise that this is going to be a win-win relationship. So we want a successful relationship which is based on open and professional behaviours, looking at a collaborative approach, So I think that's worth re-emphasising again. And this is just a helpful diagram to explain our collaborative procurement and how we see it working. So the council is undertaking this procurement process on the behalf of a number of other customers. So we've got maintained schools, academies, and other customers such as West Mercia Police, other higher education colleges, and other customers. And on that basis, through the council's procurement process, we will then select a preferred supplier on the behalf of all of these customers. And the customers that are mentioned in the data room, we do have written confirmation that they've joined this procurement process. So we are definitely undertaking this procurement on their behalf at this stage. And then this slide is also useful to help describe the contractual relationship and how you will contract with each of the different customers moving forwards. And the line that's worth highlighting here is the fact that the council will be contracting on behalf of maintained schools. So we realise that through market engagement, we've asked a number of you what preferred approach you'd want for us to take with regards to maintained schools and other customers. And we felt that this offers us the best option moving forwards if the council contracts on behalf of those almost 200 maintained schools. So there's benefits there with just having one contract, but also just emphasising that the direct delivery of services and the operational relationship with those customers will be direct with the supplier. So the only time that the council would step in for maintained schools would be if there is a contractual issue that needs to be resolved via that route. And obviously you can see individual academies and other customers all contract directly with the preferred supplier. Okay. So I've also got the next slides as well on the process and timeline. So just to pick up some key dates, I'd also like to highlight the fact that we have stuck rigidly to all the key dates that we've advertised so far, and it's our intention to keep these dates moving forwards as well. So here we are today on the 10th of November at the Supplier Open Day, and the next key stage is obviously the 26th of November, so if you want to submit your PQQ, it needs to be in by 4 p.m. And we're asking for hard copies to be submitted. So your hard copy needs to be delivered at the council before 4 p.m. and we recommend that you obtain a timed receipt in whatever method you choose to use. The next key stage is that I mentioned before was the fact that there would be another Supplier Open Day on the 6th of January. So those suppliers that are brought through to ITT, we have another Open Day available for you. And with that organised, or the project's management is that organised, that I can tell you that's going to be taking place in the morning of the 6th. So you can schedule that into your diaries now. And the deadline for final tenders will be the 4th of February, again at 4 p.m, requesting for hard copy receipt again. And then you can see the other stages there where we've got our internal governance, where we expect to make a decision by the end of March as to who our preferred supplier is. So that's a quick whistle-stop tour of the commercial considerations, and I'll happy to pass back to Steph now, and for any questions.
Okay, thank you, team. I think that's been 35 minutes. We timed that the other day to 45, so I think we've probably all dabbled a little bit. So I'll give you all a chance to have a breather and try and take all that in. Are there any questions from the audience that you wish to raise to any one of us? And I'd just like to introduce a couple of members of the panel who didn't have a slot to speak today. On the end is Pauline Harris, who is our programme manager here. Some of you may have met Pauline before. And our head of HR, Elaine Chandler, who likes to make an entrance, and it's been filmed, so we'll have that on YouTube for Elaine later. So are there any questions from the audience? There's got to be one. Come on, Debbie, you can always let me off. Come on. Usually one question, you're just waiting for somebody to be the first. No, stunned silence. Absolutely, the engagement and peak. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah. When there's extra points around, we know you'll be there, Charlie. Thanks.
Just a question for Joe, really. Joe, you didn't talk in any depth about the weighting against responses, either at PQQ or probably more appropriately ITT. Are you able to articulate any of that at this stage, or are you still? Does the ITT weighting formulate from the PQQ? So
the PQQ selection criteria is advertised in the PQQ documentation, so you've got that in advance. ITT, we're still formulating that, and that will obviously be available on the 19th of December. I think the only thing I would add is that I did mention that submission is in hard copy, and we would want an electronic version attached with that as well, just to make that clear. And also, if you do have any questions after today, obviously you are able to submit them to commissioning@worcestershire.gov.uk as part of the PQQ process, and also at ITT stage. There'll be a window of opportunity between the 19th of December to the 19th of January to ask any questions on the ITT as well. So if you do have any questions after today, you do have that ability to ask any further questions.
That's it then, thank you. We'll be hanging around a little bit, obviously, to have a chat to anybody who wants to have a chat, but bearing in mind, obviously, we are in PQQ PERDA, which I like to use rather than procurement pause or whatever it is that we use when we can't talk individually. So any questions that we do take on a one-to-one basis, we will need to note down and publish on our portal so everybody else hears the same answers, because we don't want to be done by the procurement police for breaking rules. So if there are any questions, we will be happy to listen. We're happy to take them, but anything that we do say may be taken down and used in evidence against us. So thanks everybody again very much indeed. It has been short and sweet, but at least maybe you might be able to get down the M5 before the snarls up happen this afternoon. So again, we'll all be around for a little while longer. Tea and coffee again at the back if you want another drink before you head off back to from whence you came. Other than that, thanks again, and we look forward to your PQQ submissions. Thank you.